In a moment of casual curiosity while browsing Google Earth, a man accidentally discovered the strange shape of a car submerged at the bottom of a lake. But this wasn't a recent accident. It was a clue to a 22-year-old mystery about a man who vanished without a trace. The shocking part? This car had been clearly visible on satellite images since 2007, but no one noticed it until 2019. A simple click changed everything, opening up the story of William Moldt, the man police had been searching for over 2 decades without success. Welcome to the Case Files, where we explore the most intriguing cases, unsolved mysteries, and real dramatic stories from around the world. I'm your host, and today we'll dive deep into one of the most extraordinary stories that modern technology has ever helped solve. Today, we'll learn about a case that completely changed how we perceive the hidden power of technology in solving mysteries that seemed impossible to crack. This is a story about a family's patience, the limitations of traditional investigation systems, and the magic of the digital age. In this episode, we're taking a deep dive into the infamous case of the Google Earth mystery, William Moldt, when one click changed everything. A mysterious disappearance case that was solved in a way no one could have imagined. Chapter 1. William Moldt's Quiet Life. To fully understand this story, we need to go back in time to the late 1990s, when Florida was still a rapidly developing area, with numerous new residential communities being built. William Earl Moldt, 40 years old, was a mortgage broker living in the town of Lantana, Florida. William was described by those around him as a quiet, reserved man with a rather private lifestyle. He wasn't someone who enjoyed partying or heavy drinking. In fact, he rarely drank alcohol and was known as a responsible person. William's job at a mortgage brokerage company was quite stable. He had a serious romantic relationship with his girlfriend, and his life seemed to be proceeding normally like any other middle-aged man in Florida. However, fate had arranged for William a fateful night that would change everything. But what drove a private person like William to decide to go to a nightclub that evening? Chapter 2. The Fateful Night, November 7th, 1997. The evening of November 7th, 1997, a normal Friday night in South Florida. The temperature was around 70 degrees, quite pleasant weather for evening entertainment activities. William Moldt made a rather unusual decision for his personality. He decided to visit a local nightclub. According to police reports, William went to an adult nightclub in the area, a detail that adds more mystery to the story. Why would a private man like William choose this type of entertainment? Did he meet someone there? Or was this simply a rare, impulsive decision on his part? At the nightclub, William seemingly didn't attract any particular attention. According to witnesses present there, he sat at the bar, had a few drinks, but showed no signs of intoxication. Those who knew him at the nightclub assessed that William seemed normal, with no unusual behavior or emotional disturbance. Around 9:30 p.m. that night, William made the last phone call of his life. He called his girlfriend and said in a normal tone, "Honey, I'll be home soon." This was the last sentence anyone ever heard from William Moldt. Around 11 p.m., William left the nightclub alone. Witnesses confirmed he showed no signs of severe intoxication, walking steadily as he exited. He got into his white 1994 Saturn SL with license plate RAF61S and drove off into the dark night. From that moment on, William Earl Moldt vanished from the face of the earth. But what happened on the route from the nightclub home? Why would an experienced driver like William have an accident? Chapter 3. The Desperate Search and Long Days of Waiting. When William didn't return home as promised, his girlfriend began to worry. By the next morning, when all phone calls went unanswered, the family reported him to police. Police in Lantana and surrounding areas immediately launched a comprehensive investigation. They searched every nook and cranny from the nightclub William had visited to the roads he might have taken home. The usual route from the nightclub to William's home in Lantana was carefully examined. Police also interviewed everyone who was present at the nightclub that night. However, no clues were found. There were no traces of the White Saturn. No witnesses saw any accident or unusual incident. There was no evidence of criminal activity. William Moldt seemed to have disappeared completely. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. William's file gradually shifted from active investigation to cold case. His family continued appealing for information, posting missing person flyers, but all efforts were futile. For the next 22 years, William's family lived with the anguish of not knowing what had happened. They couldn't hold a funeral, couldn't find comfort in knowing for certain. The question, "Where is William?" haunted them every day. Could anyone have thought that while William's family suffered in waiting, he was lying quietly just a few dozen kilometers from Lantana, beneath the surface of an unnoticed lake? Chapter 4. Technology's Development and New Urban Areas. While William's family was immersed in grief, the world around them changed dramatically. Internet technology developed rapidly. Smartphones were born, and most importantly, satellite technology and digital maps became commonplace. Google Maps launched in 2000, Google Earth in 2001, and by 2007, the satellite imaging system was detailed enough to see small objects on the ground. What no one knew was that from 2007, the image of William's car had been clearly displayed on Google Earth, but submerged deep under the water of an artificial lake. The area where William was found, Grand Isles in Wellington, was under construction in 1997. This was an upscale residential community with many artificial lakes, well-planned roads, and a gated security system. It's ironic that William ended his life in a place that in 1997 was still a construction site. But how could a car crash into a lake in a busy construction area without anyone knowing? Chapter 5. The Turning Point Moment. August 2019. The story took a completely unexpected turn on a day in August 2019. A man, identified as the ex-husband of a resident at Grand Isles, Wellington, was doing an activity that millions of people worldwide do daily, browsing Google Earth to view familiar areas. This man, according to reports, might have been a land surveyor or simply someone who enjoyed exploring satellite maps. He was examining the area where his ex-wife lived, possibly out of curiosity or for work-related reasons. When zooming in on the image of the lake area near Moon Bay Circle, Grand Isles, he suddenly saw something unusual. Under the clear water of the artificial lake, there was an object with a distinct shape that looked like a car. At first, he might have thought this was just an illusion or a cloud shadow. But when he looked more carefully, the shape was too clear, too much like a car to be natural. The vehicle seemed to have been there for a very long time. This discovery made him both curious and concerned. How could there be a car under the lake without anyone knowing? He decided to take a screenshot and contact his ex-wife. But was this really a car, or just an illusion in the satellite image? Chapter 6. The Chain of Discovery and Verification. The ex-wife of this man, after receiving the screenshot, forwarded it to Barry Fay, a neighbor living near the lake area. This was on August 28, 2019, and Barry Fay was driving home from Fort Lauderdale. Barry Fay was initially skeptical. He had lived in the house near this lake for 14 months, passing through this area daily, but had never noticed anything unusual. The lake looked dark and murky from the shore, making it difficult to see anything at the bottom. However, curiosity won out. When he got home, Barry decided to use his personal drone to examine the lake area more carefully. The drone flew up, Its camera pointed down at the water's surface, and the images transmitted to the control screen shocked Barry and those around him. There really was a white car lying at the bottom of the lake. From the drone's high angle, they could clearly see the car's shape, even distinguishing colors and some details. Barry Fay later shared with the press, "I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Even when standing on the shore looking down, I couldn't see anything at all. But from above, everything became clear." At this point, Barry realized this wasn't just some abandoned car. This could be evidence of a serious case. He immediately contacted local police, but the biggest question remained: who was the person in that car? Chapter 7. Recovery and Horrifying Truth. Palm Beach County Police received the call from Barry Fay on August 28, 2019, and quickly dispatched an investigation team to the scene. When officers saw the drone footage, they immediately recognized this could be a serious case. The preparation process for recovering the car proceeded carefully. Police had to mobilize specialized towing equipment, diving gear, and a crime scene investigation team. The area around the lake was cordoned off. Curious residents gathered to watch the recovery. When the white Saturn SL was slowly pulled up from the water's surface, the scene before the crime scene investigators was truly horrifying and chilling, according to many reports. The car had spent 22 years underwater. The metal was severely oxidized, the body rusted and discolored. Plastic and fabric parts had decomposed or warped. What remained was just the steel frame and some main metal components. But the most horrifying part was inside the driver's compartment. When police opened the car door, they discovered a complete skeleton sitting in the driver's seat, still wearing the seatbelt. According to official reports, the remains had been heavily calcified after many years underwater. This scene immediately made investigators realize this wasn't just a simple traffic accident. This could be evidence of a long-term missing person case, or even a criminal case. But who was the person in the car, and how could they be identified after 22 years? Chapter 8. The Identification Process and Amazing Coincidence. With concrete evidence in hand, police immediately began the victim identification process. They reviewed all missing person files that had occurred in the Palm Beach area and neighboring counties during the possible time frame. The first step was determining the car's year and model. Despite severe damage, experts could still identify this as a white 1994 Saturn SL. This information was cross-referenced with vehicle databases and missing person lists. One name emerged in the search process: William Earl Moldt, missing since November 7, 1997, driving a white Saturn SL with license plate RAF61S. The information matched perfectly with the recovered vehicle. However, to be certain, police had to conduct forensic examination. The remains were sent to the medical examiner's office for necessary testing. The examination process used William Moldt's dental records from 1997. Fortunately, these records were still archived and could be used for comparison. Forensic dental experts compared tooth structure, special characteristics, and William's treatment records. The final results were announced on September 10, 2019. The remains were confirmed to be exactly those of William Earl Moldt, the man who had been missing for 22 years. But this opened up an even bigger question. Why was William in Wellington, over 20 miles from his home in Lantana? Chapter 9. Unsolved Mysteries. Finding William Moldt solved the mystery of his disappearance, but also opened up a series of new questions that police and family still couldn't answer. First question: why? Was William in Grand Isles, Wellington? This area was completely opposite direction from the route from the nightclub to his home in Lantana. Wellington was about 22 miles from Lantana, and there was no reasonable explanation for why William would drive there. Second question: how could the car crash into the lake without anyone knowing? In 1997, The Grand Isles area was under construction, with the presence of many workers, machinery, and trucks. Such an accident should have created loud noise and attracted attention. Third question. William's condition while driving. Although witnesses at the nightclub insisted he wasn't intoxicated, were there other factors affecting his driving ability? A stroke? Heart attack? Or some other unexpected event? Fourth question. Why wasn't the car discovered for 22 years? The Grand Isles area after construction completion became a busy residential community. The lake was right behind residents' homes, and they regularly passed through this area. Resident Brian Martin, someone living near the lake, shared, "It's unbelievable that the car had been in that lake for 22 years. Many residents in the surrounding area still can't believe there was a car with a dead body in the pond for so long, just steps away from the surrounding houses." Fifth question. Could this not have been an accident? Although police concluded this was an accident, the car's appearance in an unfamiliar location still raised suspicions about the possibility of third-party involvement. Chapter 10. Technology's Power and Lessons from the Case. The William Moldt case became a typical case study about technology's role in solving mysteries that traditional investigation methods had given up on. Google Earth and the power of aerial perspective. For 22 years, police had searched for William everywhere, but they only searched on ground level. No one thought to search underwater, especially in artificial lakes and residential areas. Google Earth provided a completely new perspective, from above, allowing observation of what was hidden beneath the water's surface. Development of satellite image resolution. From 2007, satellite imaging technology was advanced enough to see small objects like cars. This meant that for 12 years, evidence about William had been waiting on the internet, needing only someone curious enough to discover it. Public role in investigation. The curiosity of an ordinary citizen led to this discovery. This showed that in the information age, everyone could become an amateur detective and contribute to solving cases. Drones and verification technology. Barry Fay's use of a drone to verify information from Google Earth showed how combining multiple technologies could create powerful results. Drones provided real-time images, flexible angles, and quick verification capabilities. This case made many law enforcement agencies worldwide reconsider investigation methods. Some police departments began using Google Earth and similar tools to review old cold cases. But how many other William Moldts are waiting to be discovered on Google Earth? Chapter 11. Global Impact and Similar Cases. After the William Moldt story was published, it created a global phenomenon. Thousands of people worldwide began hunting for similar mysteries on Google Earth. Some other notable discoveries were made. In Argentina, a missing aircraft was discovered on Google Earth after 30 years. In Australia, archaeologists used Google Earth to discover ancient ruins previously unknown. In California, a murder case was solved when Google Earth showed a suspiciously disturbed area of land. Online communities formed specialized mystery hunting on Google Earth groups. They regularly shared strange images, discussed discoveries, and even collaborated with police for investigations. However, this also led to some problems. Many discoveries turned out to be illusions, natural objects, or even jokes. Police had to spend time and resources verifying hundreds of inaccurate reports. Chapter 12. Final words from family and peace. For William Moldt's family, finding him after 22 years brought both comfort and new pain. They finally had an answer to the question that had haunted them for over 2 decades. Where is William? However, knowing that William had died the night he disappeared also brought new pain. For 22 years, they had always hoped that perhaps William was still alive somewhere, maybe suffering from amnesia or living a new life. William's family held his funeral in October 2019, more than 22 years after he disappeared. This was the first time they could say a final goodbye and find peace in knowing that William was at rest. In a statement to the press, William's family thanked everyone who had helped throughout this process, especially the man who discovered the car on Google Earth, and Barry Fay, who verified and reported to police. "We never thought technology would be what brought William back to us," a family member shared. "But in the end, we were able to find peace." The story of William Earl Moldt is powerful evidence of how modern technology can change the game in solving mysteries that seemed impossible to crack. From a man who vanished without a trace one night in 1997, William became a symbol of the combination of technology and human curiosity. This case leaves profound and multifaceted lessons. About technology's power, Google Earth, drones, and satellite image analysis tools proved they could become powerful investigation instruments. Law enforcement agencies worldwide are now integrating these technologies into standard investigation procedures. About the public's role, ordinary citizens' participation in solving crimes is no longer just theory, but has become reality. Every person with a smartphone and internet connection can become an amateur detective capable of meaningful contribution. About the importance of never giving up, William's family and police never stopped hoping, even when the case became cold. This persistence was ultimately rewarded. About mysteries that still exist. Although William was found, many questions about the case remain unanswered. This reminds us that even with modern technology, some mysteries may forever remain mysteries. Perhaps right now, on Google Earth, on other satellite images, there are still hundreds, thousands of secrets waiting to be discovered. Maybe a missing aircraft from decades past, an unknown ancient archaeological site, or an important clue to a stalled criminal case. William Moldt waited 22 years to be found. His story reminds us that in the age of technology 4.0, truth can be hidden in unexpected places, just waiting for a curious click from someone patient and caring enough. Thank you for following the case files in this special episode. William Moldt's story is not just a solved case, but also an inspiration for all of us about the power of technology and human curiosity. Please leave a comment to let us know your thoughts about this case. Do you think you'll search for mysteries on Google Earth? And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss other thrilling stories. See you in the next episode of The Case Files.